Hey friends, how's it going? I'm back again with another video, and in this video I want to talk to you about an app that has been disrupting the social media market. So you might have heard of Clubhouse, you might not have, but that's okay. It's the same app that has been competing or challenging Twitter and Instagram over the last few months, and both Twitter and Instagram have had to create their own competing features to compete with Clubhouse. So in this video, let's briefly look at what is Clubhouse, then let's consider why I think it's changing the game, and then let's look at some of the ways in which I've been able to gain some value or benefit from the app, and finally let's look at some of the downfalls that really let Clubhouse down. And so what I'm trying to say here is that Clubhouse is a double-edged sword. Whilst there are so many benefits to the app, there are some features or some downfalls that make Clubhouse not so competitive when it comes to other social media platforms. A quick disclaimer, the platform is currently invite only, but don't worry, the invites are pretty easy to get if you just roam around on Twitter or just ask a friend that's already on the app that can bring you in. And secondly, the app is currently iOS only, but the official guys at Clubhouse have said that the Android version is currently in the works, so do expect that to come out sometime after making this video. So yeah, I'm really sorry to any Android people watching this video at the moment. And by the way, if you're new here, I'm Yath, a medical student and designer from London, and I'd love for you to subscribe and join me for new videos every single week. So what is Clubhouse? Clubhouse is a social media platform based around audio first conversations. At the core of it, you open the app and you're presented with a number of rooms. In other words, conversations. You just click on one that you're interested in and you'll be taken into the conversation. Initially, you'll be a part of the audience, but if you raise your hand, you'll be taken onto the stage, and this is where you can actively contribute or speak. You can obviously also just leave conversations, enter new ones, create your own ones, create private ones, create public ones, so on and so forth. So that's what Clubhouse is all about. You can think about it as Zoom without the video, or a house party without all the convoluted games and random stuff, or even like a live radio show where you call in to ask a question or contribute to a discussion. And yes, there's added features like being able to choose what topics that you're most interested in, such as finance, tech, entrepreneurship, health, culture, relationships, and so on. So you can really dip your toes in what you enjoy the most and allow the app to surface conversations that are going to be most relevant to you. And what's more crazy is the platform currently has over 2 million active users, being invite only and having only been around for about a year. In the startup world, that is absolutely crazy, and it's also worth over $1 billion, which makes it a unicorn status startup. And what's even more crazy is when you guys smash the like button to this video so that we can become better friends with the YouTube algorithm, and it also makes me so happy seeing likes on my videos. So why do I think this all changes the game? Well, there's just one thing to it: FOMO, the fear of missing out. The conversations on Clubhouse happen in real time. Nothing is stored or repeated. You're either a part of the action or you're not. This is partly the reason why my sleep schedule has been so off in recent times, as I've been staying up to engage in interesting conversations from across the pond in the US, where our time zones don't really align with theirs. For example, a few weeks ago, I was in a room with Elon Musk where he was chatting to the CEO of Robinhood and trying to find out some of the ins and outs of what happened with GameStop. And that is the type of conversation that without Clubhouse, you probably wouldn't be a part of. So the FOMO element definitely makes Clubhouse very exciting. There's just nothing like it on other social media platforms. Yes, you could go live on other platforms, but more often than not, these are either stored or repeated for people in the future. And because of this nature where things are not stored, the conversations that happen on Clubhouse tend to be a little bit more raw, less polished, and more genuine. So I think that makes for a level of insight that you just wouldn't get anywhere else. And I guess to really drive home the FOMO part of the app and why it's so good, we now have competing features on Twitter and Instagram with Twitter Spaces and Instagram Live Rooms, where basically they've poached this feature from Clubhouse and tried to implement it into their platforms. The last time we saw this was with TikTok, and when Instagram created Instagram Reels to compete with TikTok. And before that, it was with Snapchat, and where Instagram copies stories to compete with Snapchat. So it's going to be really interesting to see what effect that has on Clubhouse. Okay, so this is all great, but what is the real value add? How have I personally gained something from the app? For me, it's about being a part of bigger conversations that I just wouldn't be able to be a part of otherwise. For example, I've been in rooms where Elon Musk is talking about crazy stuff, Mark Zuckerberg is avoiding questions about privacy, MKBHD is throwing YouTube advice and how to become a better creator, And then also Naval is fighting with Joe Rogan and debating random really cool interesting topics. So this is the kind of conversations that you just wouldn't have access to because they would normally happen in private spaces between these high profile individuals. And so generally speaking, it's quite interesting to be a part of that scene. And yes, the return on investment is not going to be amazing every single time. You might be in a room for an hour and not gain very much. And on the other hand, you might be in another room for just 10 minutes and gain so much value. So the ROI is definitely a hit and miss. But for me, on the whole, I think I've gained so much value just from being on the platform about a month now. So I think I'm still going to try it out and let you guys know in the long term what I think about Clubhouse. And the second biggest value add for me has been networking. Networking on Clubhouse is just so much easier than other platforms. It's basically like LinkedIn on steroids. You can join conversations, you can introduce yourself, and suddenly you've exposed yourself to everyone in the audience. And if anyone's interested in what you do, they might get in touch with you after the call. So in the startup space, a lot of startup founders have been using Clubhouse to, engage with investors, ask questions about their product or service, and also get some feedback from customers. And I think for startups or for that kind of use case where you're really looking to network, Clubhouse is a really valuable platform. So what are the downsides of Clubhouse? To me, 3 things come to mind. The lack of asynchronous use cases, the lack of international use cases, and the lack of a content archive. Like we mentioned earlier, Clubhouse is synchronous and it's very much live time. So if you're someone who's quite busy, if you're someone who's at work, you might miss out on certain conversations. And if you were to just jump on Clubhouse during like a 5-minute break or a 10-minute break, as you would with Twitter and Instagram, you're probably not going to gain that much value from the app. Whereas with Twitter or Instagram, you can scroll through a bunch of stuff, you can re-engage in conversations, or you can look at other people's photos, and you can gain some value in a short amount of space. With Clubhouse, you really do have to spend a lot of time and a lot of real time to get value out of the app. Secondly, international stuff is just really difficult. If you're from the UK and you want to engage in conversations that are happening in US friendly time zones, then your sleep pattern is going to be really messed up like mine over the last few weeks. Finally, on other social media platforms, things are stored. So on Twitter, your tweets are there permanently. On Instagram, your photos, your stories, and your highlights, they're there either for 24 hours or for as long as you want. And then finally on YouTube, when you upload a video, it's basically there until you do something to it. With Clubhouse, there's no content archive. There's no way you can click on someone's profile and see the conversations they've been a part of previously. You just have to be there in real time. And I know I've said this like 300 times in this video, but again, this is the thing that makes Clubhouse a little bit more difficult to engage with, and maybe a little bit more difficult for it to compete with other social media platforms because it doesn't have a content archive. So if you're a creator like me, you can't really show off your work. You can't really have anything on Clubhouse to be like, hey guys, come join me on Clubhouse and look at all the stuff that I have on Clubhouse. But maybe if you're just a consumer, then it's okay. And maybe if you're a creator just looking to do live things on Clubhouse and use it for that use case, therefore, tell your audience on other platforms that you're going to be going live on Clubhouse for an interesting conversation with X person, then that might be a really interesting use case. And I think that's where Clubhouse will end up going. It will be this platform where people do all of their live stuff and then leave the other sort of, asynchronous stuff to other platforms. So that's all. If you do end up on Clubhouse, do follow me at Yath Prem. And if you did enjoy this video, do drop a like and a comment down below. As always, stay safe, stay happy, and see you soon.